Hello everybody, and welcome back to Out of Body, 31 Days of Halloween. This is a creepypasta narration, but really quickly I just want to say that this story is actually an original story by me. I wrote it recently, so no Reddit posts or anything on this one. So the story is called My Friend Goes Missing Every Year on Halloween. And it starts now. Enjoy! Every year my best friend goes missing on Halloween, and when the sun comes up the next day, he's back. No one knows why or what happens to him year after year, except me. I'm his best friend, the one person in his life he confides in. His family is dysfunctional. They couldn't care less what he does when, or where, or who with. So, every year they assume he's run away again, and they assume he'll be back the next day. We all assumed this year would be no different, but we were wrong. Today is November 1st, and my friend is nowhere to be found. The saddest part is no one else is worried. I've texted a couple of our mutual friends to see if they've heard from him or seen him. No one has, and everyone acts like it's no big deal. He probably just decided to stay away longer this time. So what? Well, I know what, and I'm worried. My best friend and I grew up in the same tiny town together. We've known each other since the cradle days, I suppose. All I can remember is I've just always known him. We lived across the street from each other, and we would hang out every day after school. He always came over to my house, though for some reason I never went over to his. I'm not sure why. I guess I was just never invited. I started noticing him not being around for Halloween, the year we both turned 7. A couple years after that, I remember I asked him if he would want to go trick-or-treating with me. I just knew we would have so much fun. We could coordinate our costumes, find the houses with the best candy, and stay up to watch horror movies all night long. I'll never quite forget the reaction he gave me after I excitedly recited my invitation to him. He looked at me with a blank stare. It almost looked like he didn't hear what I'd said, so I repeated it to him. His face didn't change. He then looks down and says, "I can't go." When I asked why, he said, "I don't know." Even more confused than before, I repeated, Why?" He looked at me with a serious expression and said, "Promise you won't tell." Of course, like any other 9-year-old, I made an X across my chest and said, "Cross my heart." For the next several minutes, he went into a detailed description of something so horrific that I dare not even say some parts of it on here, but I'll give you the condensed version. He said that every year, ever since he turned 7, in the early morning hours on the day of Halloween, before the sun comes up, he has a nightmare. Not just any normal kid who watched too many horror movies before bed kind of nightmare. This was something else entirely. He said that before he has this nightmare, he wakes up in his bed, unable to move. He can see around his room, and he can see that the sun isn't up yet. Unlike most sleep paralysis type encounters, he doesn't see anyone in his room. No figures, no shadow people, no one. The next thing he knows, he's being pulled off of his bed by an unseen force. And then, everything goes black. When the blackness fades, he finds himself in this strange place. It's like another realm or something. Everything around him is blurry, and there's this mist moving throughout. After a few moments, an entity approaches him and invites him to play the Halloween game. Sounds corny, I know, but it's not to be taken lightly. He describes this game as being the most horrific and the most exhausting thing he goes through all year. I won't go into the details of the game, but the gist of it is this. If he wins, he gets to come back to his regular life. And if he loses, well, he's never really told me what happens if he loses. After winning the game, and the 24 hours is up, much to his relief, he finds himself awake in his bed the morning of November 1st. The sun is up, and his body is fully able to move. As he gets ready for the day, his parents always remark about him being physically absent the day before. Though they never ask where he went, they just remark about how he must have snuck back in early this morning. So to call this thing he experiences a nightmare is kind of inaccurate, seeing as it's not just in his mind. His consciousness and his physical body wander off somewhere, or get pulled away somewhere, every year. And every Halloween, it's been the same thing, year after year, until now. This year is our senior year of high school. We are to graduate next May, or at least I hope we do, if he ever comes back. I just don't know what to do. It's 5 p.m. now, and he's still not back. I've checked everywhere, every person he knows. I've thought of everything, and I still haven't told a soul about his annual nightmare. I wanted to keep his secret, but now I'm worried for his safety. I wonder if I should tell his parents, the cops, someone. But would they even believe me? And so I sit here and wonder, did he really run away this time and leave town without telling anyone? Or did he lose the game?